Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I'm glad you guys are here. I want to take a quick second and say thank you to all the channel members with a huge shout out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you all so much. And I also want to say thank you to anyone who's found their way in here to check out the knife, my EDC content. I appreciate every one of you. I do ask if you would please hit that subscribe button and that bell notification icon. It really helps me out, and I would totally be stoked. So the title said, looking at knives with fat carbon handles. And this knife is kind of unique because it's not quote unquote fat carbon, but it is a material that's very, very similar. It's the Chinese kind of equivalent of fat carbon. But I did want to break this out and show this knife because when I was thinking about this theme of knives that have a unique carbon fiber handle material, i.e. fat carbon, even though this isn't technically fat carbon, it's definitely a very unique high-end carbon fiber material that has some different dyes and applications that make it altogether kind of different. And this is the Tuya Caladan, or Caladan. It's Jim Skelton's design. Fantastic droppy spear point, fantastic ergos, fantastic action, but just a really cool knife with a unique carbon fiber handle that's not per se fat carbon. Then we come into some unique fat carbon that I picked up on this Reate Exo. It was a Smoky Mountain Knife Works edition, and this is, I think it's called Pine Forest fat carbon. So you've got these thin layers of fat carbon, this green, this white, this black on each side of the Exo here. This is the Tanto Point Exo in LMAX. This is the Exo-M, but a really fun knife. I picked this up because when I was browsing Smoky Mountain Knife Works and saw this carbon fiber, it looked pretty unique. It looked like something that I wouldn't see a lot of because it was a limited type of deal. And I like it. It's not my favorite color. I love the blues. I love the purples. But I do really like this knife. I like the carbon fiber insets. I think it looks really slick. It's a lot more functional of an EDC knife than I would have ever given it credit for because it is very slicey, very usable, very utilitarian. But that is the Reate Exo, and it has got what I think is called Pine Forest, something like that, carbon fiber, fat carbon fiber. And then we kind of move on to the smallest knife in this collection, and this is the Purple Nurple Nip, which has a different cut of fat carbon, but this is a beautiful little representation of what I think this carbon fiber can be cut to look like. And it's kind of unique because they're not able to get it anymore because they actually would procure this and send it to the OEM to have these scales made. But you've got so many different flashes of that purple and that dark throughout there. Fantastic S90V blade. You've got multiple deployment methods from your traditional flipper tab to your deployment hole. You've got a liner lock and just a little absolute cutter. I love the sheen, this kind of a muted or matted sheen of this carbon fiber on this little nip. I think it's a fantastic little specimen. Definitely one of my favorites. And just a cool little fat carbon scaled small fifth pocket carry or even a table knife. I mean, it's just good to have around. It's very utilitarian. Moving on, we come to another unique fat carbon knife, and this is from manufactured by but this is the Bergblade Slim, and this is called the Rose Blue pattern, which is a kind of a unique fat carbon. It doesn't look like the traditional Arctic carbon fiber because it's got a different patterning, and you can see the pitting of that carbon fiber in those scales between those bolsters. Really unique, kind of muted from a distance, but when you look at it up close, and I probably will take it out of focus, but you get a lot of detail up close on this particular knife and that carbon fiber. But the Bergblade Slim is a fantastic little knife. I believe we OEM this. It's a little mean cleaver, beautiful carbon fiber. If you go to Bergblade's site, you'll see a lot of different variations of fat carbon that they utilize on these. Reate's making their latest knives. This was one of their earlier knives, the Bergblade Slim. But it's a banger. It's a M390, has fantastic action, drops like a champ. It's got this nice bolster lock, concealed frame lock, however you want to look at it. And these really unique carbon fiber insets. Really like this knife. It's a winner. Bergblade Slim, another one of my examples of some cool fat carbon fiber. And we will move on from there, and we will go to probably one of the gaudiest of the fat carbon fiber knives that I have access to. And this is my Smoky Mountain Knives exclusive Brian Brown Raptor. So I picked this up. I wasn't really even that much going after a Brian Brown Raptor. I'm a big Jaeger fan, but this knife was on sale, closeout for a price I could not resist. It was super, super cheap for what it's supposed to be. And it's got this full fat carbon fiber show side in this jungle wear, or I don't know what you'd call that, jungle wear, or I think it's probably jungle wear, carbon fiber. This knife is a lot more enjoyable than I would have initially thought. You've got this deep hollow ground M390 blade. You've got this titanium DLC frame lock and blade. You've got amazing action, whether you reverse flick it, whether you like to thumb flick it. This knife does not disappoint. You've got a fantastic place to keep your hand. You can choke back. You can choke up. The clip goes in and out of pocket very well, but you do not feel it in your hand. You've got this nice titanium backspacer, or excuse me, Zircuti backspacer, Zircuti collar. Beautiful, beautiful scale. I love the way it looks. It's one of my favorites. This is the Brian Brown Raptor in fat carbon fiber, and it is going to be another one on our list. So while we're looking at that colorway, let's take a look at my Null Knives Voodoo, which uses that same Amazon, or whatever you want to call it, toxic carbon fiber. These scales I actually purchased from Null when they came into stock because I thought they were gorgeous, fat carbon. These are replacement scales for my standard scales that I had on and still have for my Null Knives Voodoo that were black. But these fat carbon scales are absolutely gorgeous. They've got more detail, more patterns, more color, more pop than a lot of these knives. And if you look at this, and you look at this, you can tell that it comes from the same material. Might be cut a little different, finished a little different, but that's why fat carbon, if I'm not mistaken, is an actual brand that works with several of their particular colors. So I'm a huge fan. I really like this knife to start with, but when these scales came in and I did the scale swap, even though it's a really flashy, loud knife, I like that. I'm a huge fan. And this is the Null Knives Voodoo, and it's got the fat carbon jungle wear, we'll call them scales, toxic storm, call them that. You guys can call them whatever you like, but I think they're super, super sexy, and they make the life look very different. So moving on, we come to another Bergblade specimen. Now this one is going to be a little different with the Arctic carbon fiber than our Slim. This is going to be a different type of fat carbon. This is a Reate OEM'd specimen, but if I'm not mistaken, this is fat carbon that was sent over to be used in these little knives. And this is the Bergblade Mini Sweeney, one of my absolute favorite small gentleman carry knives. Drop shutty, to the extreme. Has a hole deployment and a fantastic top flipper. You guys know I don't even like top flippers. However, I like this one fine. It drops to my thumb, drops closed. I can almost get the top flick sometimes, but I'm not wanting to throw the knife. But yeah, this little guy cuts fantastically well. It's a medium-sized knife, which I would say small to medium-sized. I really enjoy it. I think the Arctic carbon fiber is gorgeous. See, it's a little smaller than the bug out there. I think it looks very, very nice. I love the way it's cross-cut. Just done very well. The Sweeney and the mini Sweeney are great knives. I had the Sweeney. I ended up trading it. It was a little larger than my daily carry because I found out this was coming out. But just a beautiful little knife. Berg blades, mini Sweeney, and Arctic carbon fiber. Just an absolute beauty. So moving on, we come to some of my favorite carbon fiber. This is the 80s carbon fiber. Happens to be on the Dvo Lush. You've got beautiful greens, oranges, blues, blacks, pinks, different cuts. The show side has personality. The clip side has personality. The knife is to die for. It's got an S90V blade. It's a top flipper, which you guys know I hate a top flipper. However, this one I can top flip from 2 different places without even thinking about it, just because the jimping leads my finger there. But most importantly, I can flick that fuller. I love this knife. Some of my favorite carbon fiber, and if you look at this under a black light, it looks amazing. It actually is very luminescent. It's probably my favorite carbon fiber, this 80s carbon fiber. Love it to death. And this is the Dvo Lush. So we got a couple more to look at. Some of the most rich and gorgeous carbon fiber, my Liong field duty folder in this Arctic Storm crosscut carbon fiber. If you look at the stability and the thickness of those carbon fiber scales, it is just done amazingly well. You don't feel anything on those scales around the screws, no splintering, totally clean cut, very, very well done. Some of the best done fat carbon I've ever seen. I'm a huge, huge fan of this knife. It's one of my favorite knives. I love the way it feels in my hand. It's a little bit larger than what I typically carry, but I make a point to carry it at least monthly. It's just a great, great knife. And when I was going to look at carbon fiber handle knives, I could not leave this one out because it's just absolutely gorgeous. And this is the Liong field duty folder in S90V with the liner lock with fat carbon. A couple of different fat carbons are available in this knife, which you can find right now. Blade HQ, I think, has some of these on sale. Use my link on my linked tree. I've got a Blade HQ link if you're so inclined. But guys, this is the Liong field duty folder. So moving on, we've got one more traditional fat carbon knives, and we'll look at a couple of wild cards. And this is probably my favorite knife for several different reasons. It's an Evo III that I've wanted forever. And this one I traded from a good buddy in the community, trusted buddy in the community. And this one's been modded with Pro X 1840, Brother Bill's fat carbon fiber insets. It had my card insets, which I still have if I wanted to switch them out. Not that I ever would. This is a forever knife for me. And it will continue to hold Brother Bill's work. I think it's just gorgeous. I think it makes this Evo not only a one-of-a-kind, but I think it's just a perfect, perfect match, especially for me. So I love this. I love the carbon fiber on it. It's a super treat to know who did it, and I love the knife. So that's the Evo III with some fat carbon fiber. So what I thought we'd do is we look at a couple of other quick little fat carbon fiber examples from my collection. I wanted to look at 3 fixed blades and a couple of slippies. So what we've got here is we've got a little MW Steelworks, USA made from South Carolina, little fixed blade called the Crow in AEBL steel, just a little chunky dude, but it does have that purple carbon fiber handle, which I think is very, very pretty. Nice, comfortable little knife. The only downside of this little knife is I haven't had a proper sheath made for it yet, and it comes with this pocket dropper, and it's not a very comfortable pocket dropper, so I don't carry it that much. Now this is a totally different story. This is the Mag 10 USA or Mag 10 Knife Works EDW, made by Collin McGuire up in Maine. A handcrafted knife I picked up at the Nashville Custom Knife Show. This guy has some of the most gorgeous fat carbon fiber, that 80s carbon fiber, with this green G10 liner. You put black light on this, it absolutely lights up. AEB L blade steel, absolute banger, beautiful knife. I carry this all the time. And then one of my all-time favorites, I've got this both in a sheep's foot and in this drop point. This is the Viper Knives Lily 1. I also have the Lily 2. I picked up the Arctic carbon fiber because I love carbon fiber, as you guys know. And this is a great little fixed blade that really not only shows off the ability that the right EDC fixed blade can give you, but it shows you really some nice options there, because you can also get this knife for about $100 less in G10. LMAX blade, just a great little knife. And then I also wanted to show you guys some fat carbon fiber on a couple of slip joints. These would be modern traditionals. We got our special Hedgehog there from Traditional Pocket Knives, and this is the Purple Cow carbon fiber. It's fat carbon fiber on the Hedgehog from QSP. This knife is done amazingly well. Probably one of my top 3 slip joints. I had the original Hedgehog, ended up giving it away in a Friday Night Flicks. M390, super sharp, great walk and talk, and beautiful carbon fiber. And then the other one I wanted to show you guys is one of my 2 Jack Wolfs. This is my Jack Wolf Feelgood Jack. This is again S90V, and I love the purple or the pink carbon fiber. And you've got 2 very different patterns because it is an organic material on each side. I like the dull, but I also like to be able to see the brightness of what that carbon fiber can do. So guys, gals, anybody who's taken the time to check this stuff out, I hope you found that somewhat entertaining, somewhat interesting, somewhat colorful, because it is colorful, right? That's why I didn't just choose regular carbon fiber. I figured we'd look at some different types of carbon fiber, right? And to me, it's all about the fat carbon fiber because I think it looks the best. I think it's the prettiest. I think it has the most color variation. I think it really makes knives pop. It's not for everybody. Again, some of my favorite knives are just raw titanium. That's kind of what I've jammed into, just the raw tie. However, I'm never going to run away from some cool carbon fiber. Some cool fat carbon fiber. I'm a huge fan. And guys, I appreciate each and every one of you coming in here to take a little bit of time to check out my knife addiction, my issues, i.e. having too many knives, and just being here for me, guys. If you haven't had a chance and you've stayed this long, if you please hit that subscribe button, man, it'd help me out. And if you please look out for the guy or gal to your left, look out for the guy or gal to your right. Please look out for each other. Go forward with love in your heart, and always choose debate, not hate. As Joe Isabella sent to me and always says, be up. Peace.